Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast.
Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. Leigh Connelly from Caraton Group. Cheers for joining us.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you
You're
all.
making the trip from Cooper, so you Fifers better
Love it.
take your time here, because
Yes.
sometimes see the rate that you speak and your accent and all that, I struggle to keep up. So try and talk English,
You're
right?
getting bullied by this Ouija here already.
I understand when I start talking about money.
Exactly. I'm from Inverness originally, Queen's English.
Guys, tune in, listen in. Lee's got, let me just give a quick introduction to Leigh. I've known Leigh for a number of years. You're going to hear about a humbling start to building houses, to building £1 million houses in St Andrews over the last 20 years. So we're going to try and cram in as much as we can in this interview. So if you want to hear this raw story, let's go for it, mate. Let's start. Give a wee bit of overview about yourself, like where you grew up. Let's not get in too much detail because I know we've got loads to cover on the property and the development side of it.
Okay. Well, originally my dad was a minister in the army, so we're kind of dragged all around the towns. So I'd lived everywhere, and but that became handy because you get to know everybody. So as you know, networking in this game's massive. So that was probably the main part. And then after that,
A minister in the army. So are you? Like, how many places have you moved about? Give us some examples of places that you lived when you were growing up.
I've been in 27 houses. I know that much, and maybe 10, 12, 13 schools.
Around the UK or around other countries?
Just in the UK.
In the UK, yeah.
That's how you started. That's how you got your relationship going with farm owners, for landowners.
Yes.
Right.
So originally, that's how. Because I was going around all the schools, my education failed on that massively.
Right.
Because
How do you fit in a school when you're a new person?
You're forever. Yeah, but you become a people's person.
Aye.
So that is a good side. So that's probably teaches you become streetwise, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's originally how that had happened. And then after that, I then always wanted to do farming. So I'd worked on farms and helping farmers. So that's originally how this all started, by being on farms, because I always wanted my own farm. I don't now because it's an absolute disaster, but I'd like one. But yeah, so that's really how that all started.
See, your dad being a minister. Are we talking about a religious minister here? So it's like
Proper minister.
Church of Scotland?
Church of Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. And did you ever kind of are you religious yourself, or are you kind of...
I believe in it. I believe in there's something. My gran said something to me years ago. She said that, all the people that go to church are really normally quite wealthy and quite intelligent. And I thought, she is right. She's right. If somebody's stupid, you don't know what they're going to believe in. Somebody's
You
quite
thinking about
normally
opportunities for networking and investing?
Nah. It was more just, I just thought, if people are intelligent, I'm going to listen to them.
Yeah.
And watch them.
And what was the first jobs that you kind of got into when you first left school, or were wanting to be a farmer?
Yeah, well, I actually left school at 15. I don't know if we want to be, is this all right to be on all this? So yeah, I left school when I was 15. And then the farmer, my dad was going abroad to Germany. I said, I'm not going. So I don't want to go with you. I'm going to stay here. I want to work on the farm. So the farmer said, look, if you don't say anything now, you can stay in this farm cottage on your own in here.
Nice.
So that's what I did.
So that was you on your
15.
own at 15-year-old?
Yes.
You out in the tractors and all that?
Yeah. I was a head tractorman there at that age. So I'd done it all my life. So it was great. I was the only person, nobody had houses at that age, at 15 years old. So I used to come back from the fields and I'd have all my mates sitting in the house waiting on me, and we all had a great time. Every day out playing the tractors and out in the farm, and every day was all quite a good help. But I learned a lot there. So that taught me, I learned how to fix machines then, which I obviously used on my own sites years later, fixing my own stuff. I learned to drive every machine under the planet, and you also become good drivers and hard workers.
Nice.
Was that when, but I mean, like, you hear a lot of stories about farmers now, and it's a hard industry and all that. Yeah. I mean, I think you only need to watch Jeremy Clarkson and stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a tough gig, but I mean, was that back then? Was farmers doing all right? Were the farmers doing okay?
I think they've always had it quite hard. I think they had a finance years ago was really expensive for farmers.
Right.
The percentage rate was really high, And obviously it's a lot lower now than what it was. I think it was like 18% when we were all kids. It was huge. So I think it was hard for them. And then eventually then they got out of it. I think farmers have always, they've just never really had any readies, but they've had the land value.
Aye, the asset value of the land is phenomenal, but they've never got much cash flow money.
So it's never about money for them. It's the same as the workers. The guys work all these hours under the sun because they love it.
Yeah.
So moving about 20 different times, around houses and all that around the country, but where did you eventually settle in?
Well, that was in Lochhead Farm in the Colton of Weems where I was there. So I worked there for a few years. I'd been a kid right up through it, and basically up from 10 right up. And I left when I was about 18, 19. But when I left, I had no house because mum and dad were living abroad at the time. So I was sleeping in my car for about 9.5 months. So I got a job in Selectron in Dunfermline. I don't know if you know of it, but I used to sleep in the car.
FMC in Petrevia Industrial.
What is that?
Electronic company, was that?
Yeah. Yes, so terrible.
And what were you doing there?
Sitting at the end of a line. First time I'd worked in a factory. Remember, I'd worked in fields all my life and worked on farms. So sitting at the end of the line, and the machines would come down, and you'd check the components and make sure that there was no damaged components, and scan it and stick it back in the thing again. That's when I first learned. My friend, he told me about Pro Plus that keeps you awake. It's like, I'd never touched a drug in my life. I was like, it took me ages to take this off him. And he was like, it's just Pro Plus. I was like, no. But yeah, I think everybody was on Pro Plus that worked in that place at one point.
What did you do for a house then after that 9 months of living in your car?
Well, eventually after that, I'd obviously caved in, and I thought, I'm going to have to buy a house. I've no choice. And everybody was advised me not to buy a house. This is really where it all started. So when I bought this house at maybe, I think I was probably about 18 or 19 years old, all my friends, mum and dad, were telling me not to buy a house. It was a big mistake, don't buy it. At the time, it was £42,000. And you just needed a guarantor then. So my mum and dad said,
what was it?
A semi 3-bed.
Right.
Dunfermline? No. It was in East Weems. It's the Kirkcaldy, but it had a massive garage. So when I went to view it, I just viewed the garage because the guy next door was the father.
As you do, aye.
So that's all I wanted. And then I put an offer in. They said, "No, you've got to view the house." I was like, right, just open the door, let me in. So my mum and dad, I think it was £4,000 or £6,000 at the time. I think it was £4,000 for a deposit, and obviously they were the guarantor, so that's how I managed to get it. I just realised I actually don't think I paid them that back. The person for that. So that's originally how it all started. So that gave me the value. But I only bought it because I had to buy it.
Did you move into that house then?
Yeah, I had it for about 18, 19 years. Only sold it a few years ago. So I always kept it as a backup if anything ever went wrong. At least I knew I had a house with a decent garage.
For the toys.
Yeah, and I was okay. So,
and did that get you into, I suppose, property, assets, and thinking?
Yeah, well, what happened then is I ended up, when I was working at the farm and my friends were coming in the tractors with me, they were all plumbers. So they were going out at night. So after I'd finished with the farm, I'd jump in with them in their cars, their work vans, and go and call with them. So I was starting to learn plumbing. So that's what happened then. And then I started going on homers with them. And I remember I did this half a day with them. And then my friend says to me, there's half the money. And I counted it, it was like 400 quid. I'm going back 20 years ago, 27 years ago maybe. And I'm like, that's like weeks of work for me. It was serious over time. I was like, are you sure you gave me the right money? He says, that's it. I says, I really just garage stuff. He was like, I told you I'll give you half, that's half. And I was like, I need to change jobs now. So that's what I did. So
did you go and train to be a plumbing heating engineer?
Yeah, but I couldn't get a job, so I had to work for free for a year for a company because nobody would take you on because I was older now. And you're sitting at the age of like 20 odd years old then.
This would have been what, early 2000s, late 1990s?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
Round about that time, aye. So
I train as that to try and make some money, but end up doing it for free for so long.
Yeah, I worked for free at the time, and I used to race motorbikes at the time. And I remember I was at Knockhill and I struggle with theory, but I'm a lot better at practical. And I crashed on the Sunday, smashed my knee, and I phoned my work, and I said, I've got my exam on the Monday morning. And you had to pay to go to the college, and it was like about 3,500. And I said, you'll need to send somebody along with a van to come and pick me up. I'm on crutches, I've signed myself out. So they picked me up in the morning, took me along to Alloa to the gas college at the time, carried me into the university, the college. And I says, I've done my knee in. They were like, you're not sitting your test. You can't come in here on crutches. I was like, oh, come on. They said, no, you can't. No, so I was like, right, okay. They said, you've got to do this in 3 months. If you don't finish this in 3 months, you have to restart everything all again to do all your training, which was like 6 months or a year, whatever it was. And I'd already worked for a year for free, so I thought, I can't keep doing it. So this is when I said, right, look, I'm going to have to go on my own, start plumbing on my own. So I was in Thornton, and I was doing this Homer fitting this boiler. And I had one of my friends, he came up from that company to help me. And I was lying on the laminate floor and I was sliding myself along the ground with a crutch, sliding myself along to pipe up the radiator and then sliding along to the next one. This guy came up to me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I've got CSA to pay." Just laughing. But I didn't actually at the time. I just wanted to work. But obviously I was in a steel splint. I had a splinter up my leg at the time.
That sounds pretty nasty injury.
So yeah. I never learned because I done it again.
Did you?
So he said to me, "Lee, you should be working for yourself." I said, "I'm going to." This is the start of it. He says, "I'm going to help you out. I own Remax Scotland." I said, "No, you don't." He said, "I do." He said, "All I've got is a notepad that I can show you that he had in his living room." But I didn't know anybody like that at that time.
Is this the guy that you were installing the heating system for?
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah, so I didn't know. I was only just met him being in his house. So he said, "I do own it. I have the Dundee branch, Kirkcaldy branch, and the Glenrothes branch, or whatever they all were." He says, I'll give you work. So
Through the letting side, like
through the lettings, service and etc. faults. So that is how that all started. So straight away I had a business from day one.
Nice.
300 houses.
Brilliant.
So
that's continual work as well, which is, you're always kept busy.
yeah.
There's always something to do, right? So did you just work at that yourself, or did you ever have to employ anybody? Or
Yes, I had to get somebody to drive me. Because I was in that for 9.5 months. Oof. So I had to get them to drive the van, and then I was going to the jobs, and then they were helping me. So of course I couldn't sit my gas exam at the time.
Yeah.
Because
somebody else sign off.
Because I had to get somebody else to work with me and sign it all off, because he was off as well, actually. So it's perfect timing.
But you're brought in the business, you'd create this business.
Yeah. So it worked out. I just paid him, and
when was the first? I suppose when was the first dangle of the carrot a new build site, and I can do this? Because this was quite early on as well, wasn't it?
Well, I bought flats first.
Oh, did you? Sorry,
yeah. Because what happens, I used to advertise in the local paper, and it used to be blurry, my advert. And if it was blurry, I would phone them up and go mental and say, "I've paid all this money, and I'm only getting this, and I'm only getting that. You can't even read it." And they'd say, "Right, we'll give you another month for free." So I'd be like, so I only ever paid for 1 or 2 weeks at a time, because I knew they'd make a mistake or do something wrong.
What was the advert? What did it say?
That was my plumbing company.
Right.
So I just said Cow Plumbing.
And not an advert for "we'll buy your flats"?
No. It was just advertising the plumbing business.
Aye.
So I was sitting in the back garden, so I'd bought the local paper again, and I was like, "I hope they've made a mistake here again. I'm going to get another month for free," because times are hard. It was always been like that. So I was checking the paper, and then when the guy from Remax at the time had said to me that, he says, "I know you've got a house. You've had it for years, why don't you take money out of it?" And I was like, didn't know you could do that. Right, well, what's that? So a very smart businessman who has actually passed away not long ago, he told me to get a mortgage called the One Account. I don't know if you know of this, from a long time ago. So what you would get a mortgage on your house, but it came with a checkbook. So if you equity in your house, you could just write your own check or draw money out of the equity, out the bank, out the hole in the wall.
Right.
That's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't know it. I just got it because he told me to get that, and he was the smartest man I knew at the time. So I just did it, and I listened to him. But he was right, because what that does, that gave me accessible money. So when I was checking the newspaper, and I was just checking for this advert, I'd always remembered that Neil from Remax had said to me that you've got accessible money from your house. Why don't you buy another property? So I used to smoke years and years ago. And I was sitting out the back garden, and the newspaper blew open, and I seen a picture of these 2 flats in these rooms, and then it folded down again. And I just thought, that's weird. And then it blew open again, exact same page. And I was like, right, I'm going to look at that.
As a sign.
Why is that? But I wasn't looking for property. It's just,
and it wasn't like, we had Facebook back then, we didn't have any of that. There wasn't, Stephen's courses. There wasn't any of that.
No, there was nothing. Yeah. It was just a bit of wind. That was it. So I seen that, and they were £25,000 each. And I knew they were on top of each other, above and below. So I thought, it was just one street down from me. I'm going to walk down and go and have a look at them. I looked at them. I was like, these are wrecked. You could see them through the ceiling. You could see the other flat above it. So I thought, right, I'm going to take a chance here, because I knew I could get money out of my house. So at the time, I had enough money to be able to take out to buy these 2 flats. So I think I put an offer in for 20,000 each for both of them. So I bought the 2 of them unconditional.
Like without any bank lending?
No, just outright, because I managed to take the money out of my property at the house.
Aye.
So I never done anything different anybody else could have done. Just had a good mortgage at the time. But somebody else, if that was nowadays, you would just remortgage your house.
Yeah.
I bought my house at the time for the right price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
so it's a bit of luck as well, and timing. The market, your value, your house shot up there, and you had that equity, so that gave you a start.
Yeah. So that bought the properties. So I then was able to do them up, And I'd done the houses up, then refinanced them, and I managed to get money out on them in the 2 properties, and that gave me money to buy my first project. So I found a place that was for sale. It went to auction twice, been for sale for 4 years, nobody would touch it.
Where was this about?
Russell Mains at
Cooper
Springfield. Yeah, Springfield, yeah. So I went to the college, Elmwood College Farm there, so I knew the farmer, he was my old teacher. So I went along and looked at it, and I was like, oh, that's a nice shed. Well, that would be a house, yeah. I'd only done a house up, so that was new to me, just doing houses up. So I phoned the estate agent, and they said, well, we've got somebody interested in it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm just going to buy it. I'll just buy it now. And she was like, well, are you wanting to put an offer? And I said, no, I'm just going for it. So I phoned my lawyer and said to him, look, I want to put a straight offer in for this. He said, I can't let you do that, Lee. Have you spoke to your mum and dad? Because I was only young. I was only maybe 21 then. Something like that, 22, it's young.
Right.
So he said, you need to speak to your mum and dad. I said, mum and dad are abroad. I said, look, I want to speak to my mum and dad. They'll say no. I'm buying this farm. It was just the sheds.
Right.
So he was like, I've got to advise you, Lee, not to do this. You don't know anything. It's not got planning permission. Why would you just buy these sheds? I was like, it's going to be all right. We'll just go for it. So that the closing date was the Friday at 12 o'clock. So he phoned me 11:15. Change your mind? I says, no, you not got that offer. And he was like, no. He was like, right, I'll do it now. So he phoned me 10 past 12. You've got it. I'll never forget that.
How much did you pay for that?
Sitting in my van, got that phone call going, oh no.
How much did you pay for it?
It was a long time ago, so I'll tell you. 50,000.
Right. And it was just a shed.
Just sheds. Just sheds. Yeah.
And had you sat down and done all your cost analysing, all your spreadsheet and all the rest of it, your refurb costs and all the rest of it?
Did you just... No, I didn't know anyone in that game. All you knew then would be the only person I knew was the guy that was high in business that told me about the mortgage, and Neil from Remax.
Yeah. So you're just going off
wing it.
Aye, I'll be able to do it.
You're like that. But what was the plan? What were you going to do with it?
Houses. I knew, but I didn't realise how hard it was going to be. I didn't know how much it was going to cost.
So how did you fund that one then? Did you just refinance of the flats that you'd got?
Yes.
Yeah.
So between the money out of my house, refinance of the flats, I managed to buy it.
Right.
Yes. And then I got planning on it, which was an absolute disaster. It took me ages to get the planning permission.
What did you get planning for that?
What I had is I remember my mortgage went up because I took the cash out of my house.
Yeah.
I had two flats that I've put mortgages on now as well, because remember I bought them in cash and done them up.
These are getting rented out?
Yeah.
Aye.
But they still weren't covering the cost, so I now had 3 mortgages and they were a bit short.
Right.
So I wasn't paying the mortgage and I was racing motorbikes at the same time. Anybody that races motorbikes knows it costs a fortune. Nobody can afford to do it. I don't know how we manage it. So that's probably why we all break our legs and arms, because you just keep going. But so I just couldn't afford it. But see, then when you see me, you didn't pay your bills, then you just got a red letter through the door saying you've got to pay this. And I was like, I'll bid you another one. Yeah, it'll be all right.
So we got a few of these.
Yeah, you got away with it. So I got away with it. Maybe it damaged my credit history, maybe slightly, but it didn't matter then. Do you know, it was years ago. So after that, so that gave me the money and got me the planning permission on it. So once I got the plan permission on it, it was worth 350,000. So I then
So you're kind of confident in what you were doing, or confident you can kind of raise the value
so
here.
Then I knew. So the whole place is worth 350,000.
What was the plan for? Was it 2 houses?
4.
4 houses, right?
Yeah. 1, 2,
Terrace
5
house?
houses. 5.
Was it terrace then? Terrace houses, or was it just you bought a shed and a bit of land and then
They were linked, so they were the roofs were linked, so they were. What was that?
It's an old barn, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. And then there was one there was one detached house, and the rest were linked detached. So linked roofs.
Just ruins, eh? Like
Yeah. But they wanted to keep them. So obviously I didn't know enough. So I thought, well, it's nice. We'll keep the first one, and we'll just do a conversion. Biggest mistake in my life.
costly?
Oh, massive.
Because of what? Because you're trying to retain the original.
Well, the walls were a metre thick, so it meant the new walls that I was building were needed to be a metre thick. So I didn't realise that all the extra block work that was going to have to go in there was like, I was like, that's £5,000 for that pillar.
Jeez. Right.
You know, and I was like,
When you say they wanted to retain, is that planning? Was that the council?
Yeah.
So the conditions were that you had to.
yes.
Was it listed around that?
No. It was just
part of the
conditions.
just what they wanted, yeah. So after that, some of the stone was a bit soft. So I said to the young guy that worked for me, I'm glad this was nearly 30 years ago, I may add. I said to him, go and jump in that machine. let me see you drive that, and he's never driven one in his life. And he went in and just smashed that house up, smashed all the sheds up. I was like, that's inconvenient.
After your instruction? No, you didn't.
Aye.
Aye.
Then you report back to the planning. This boy's fucking.
It wasn't. Well, it was an accident.
I was going to teach him how to drive the machine.
Sorry, the planning officer's probably retired.
The planning officers.
I took lots of pictures beforehand to prove that it was unsafe. And that once he hit that, it was down there.
The boy needed a bit more training on the machine.
Yeah, so
I bet he loved it.
Yeah, this might be deleted. This bit might get deleted out, but yes.
So getting that down gave you a new build development.
Yes,
on that site as
all
well.
the rest of it. So the first one was a conversion, lesson learnt. But when I got the drawings done the first time. So remember, I've just got bits of paper and I'm like, oh, they're nice. But you didn't get CGIs then.
No.
So just bits of paper. An architect drew them by paper. You did get them on computer, but a lot of it was hand-drawn as well. So I was taken to 4 estate agents at the time, and they all said to me, you'll get about 270,000 for this first house. And I was like, trying to get builders to price for me, because this was in 2008 then. And that's just when everything went wrong.
Crash, yeah.
So nobody wanted to do anything. So when I was saying to builders, come up here and want to build these houses, they were like, Leigh, you've never done anything in your life. You've not even got bank funding. You've nothing. We're not going to entertain it. So I went through about 4 or 5. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to have to stop telling people that I've not done this, and just tell them I've got funding or whatever, because I'm not getting anywhere here. So I paid a planning consultant to come out, and the planning consultant came out before I got the planning. Sorry, he said, Leigh, you're never going to get planning on this. And I was like, he charged me £45. I'll never forget it. That was a lot of money then. And I was like, no, £45 you've charged me just to come out here and tell me that. He was like, you'll never get it. He went to auction for twice and been for sale for 4 years. Everybody's looked at it, all the big guys. Why do you think you're going to do it? I was like, well, I've no choice now because I bought it. So funny thing is, see, when I finished the site, he did a drive-by 4 years later, after all the site was all finished, came down and pat me in the back. He says, now and again you meet people like you. He says, you just get
nice.
That was nice. Fair play to you.
So that took you 4 years between
all those houses, yes.
Yeah, to get the 4 houses.
But there's quite a lot of troubles as well with access and that as well, isn't
there? Yeah. So what happened was, the estate agents were saying 270,000. I'm saying, well, it's costing me 200 to build it. Or,
this is per unit, per house.
Yeah, and I was like, these guys, these quotes that are coming in are like 250,000. Plus I had to buy a place, plus all the plan fees. I was like, there's no money in this. So I'd been round everybody, so I thought, all I can do is just
make them better.
Make it up. I'll just make the figure up. So I said, I'll just sell myself. So I had no choice, because everybody was telling me the same figure. So I was like, well, I'll just make it my figure. They don't exist, so how can it be wrong?
Aye, because you're taught this is a rural area, right? So it's not
no
as
comparisons.
There's no comparables,
Yeah, none. And there's no new builds anywhere.
So what would you make up for 400 grand each?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, I sold them at 415.
Superb.
And you sold them yourself?
First viewing. One viewer at every house sold. First time, first person that came for each one of them sold straight away.
So if anybody looks up the website as well, you'll see the standard of the finishes.
Oh, it's mega. Like they're always way overboard.
But is that what helped you sell them at that?
Probably.
150 grand.
Have you got pictures on the website?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice. Go on my website, Caraton Group, and then look up Russell Mains. You'll see previous sites.
So like 400 grand back then, that was a high standard. So what would it be like? What would the equivalent be now?
Well, I built then I had to lie to the banks at the time, because I was building for £420 a square metre. And when I was going to my broker, he says to me, we can't tell them that, Leigh. They'll never believe you.
£420 a square metre?
They won't believe you, but I drove all the machines, were all my own machines. Right. I used to buy them at the auction and then use them, sell them, make a bit of money on them, buy another one. So it never cost me anything, ever.
The cost right there.
The repairs was all kept in-house. There was no cost for anything.
What were the guys you subbed in as well? Were they just guys that you knew wanted to do a decent job?
Some on the dough, some not.
And you were really hands-on, right? You were doing a lot of graphs yourself.
Proper hands-on.
What sort of stuff? Just everything?
Everything. Well, remember, I could do the plumbing. So that was the first thing. And I did
block work, joinery?
Labour, and a lot of labour, and all the machine work. Just keeping everybody moving, but because I was on the shop floor, you're pushing people. But people weren't as lazy then. Now they're horrendous.
That's a good point.
And nobody was on the phones then, so people worked then.
I know them sitting on social media for 4
you could work a day. And you could make money. This is the difference now. Now they've killed it. Yeah. All these lazy people. This is why you can't make money, because they're too lazy.
Let's take a quick break, guys, from today's show to talk about selling your property with Prime Property Auctions. Now, myself and Stephen have both used John and Lewis from Prime in the past, and we can personally vouch for their service. They sell vacant and tenanted property, and you get to control the minimum reserve price so that you're not selling your property for peanuts. They pay for all the stuff like photos, videos, and all the marketing stuff up front, so you're not paying anything from the start, and it's a no sale, no fee. So if you want to check out Prime Property Auctions, then get across to the link on the show notes and speak to the guys. What you up at, right? Like, you guys will know better than me, but what are you talking about now? If you wanted to do a project like that, £200 a square metre or something like that.
£2,500.
Sorry, £2,000 a square metre. I was meant to say. So you're writing.
Yeah. Then I had to lie to the banks, and we had to tell them that it was a build cost then of about $650, I think. So if you think for every metre I built, I was up in money because I had to borrow £650 worth of square meterage from the banks, but I only needed about $450. So that was £200 or £300 sometimes up
each one. Yeah.
So that helped me to put money into the next product, so I could do a little bit of the next house
and get ahead.
Yeah.
Aye.
So that's how that worked. That's how that benefited me. But now, some people are probably sitting at, I don't know, 1,800.
Yeah.
2,000.
That'd be a realistic.
Yeah, 2,000 a square metre. That's a huge
jump.
Yeah.
Cost, labour and materials, I suppose, a combination of both.
Yeah.
So the result of the site then, you end up getting them built out and sold within 4 years.
4 years, yes.
What sort of profit are we talking about then? Well, and we can...
enough.
You're looking back at your tax returns in that year.
I was picking what car I wanted then. Put it that way. Yeah.
What car did you go for?
A transit van. Because I used to race motorbikes. And I bought a brand new transit van.
Did you give up the motorbikes? So still...
I got a transit van with the... I got a reverse camera in the ceiling, and I got all the upgrade, all the top of the range stuff.
All right, nice one. Aye, so we're not just talking about
expense.
We're not talking about a banged up transit van. We're talking top of the range.
Yeah, I just thought I'll get another fancy car when the time comes, because I knew I needed to put that money into the next site.
That site
mega
up and running, planned, approved.
Soon the architect. I missed all that out at the start because I knew we were tight for time.
Aye, did you get to the end of that and say, well, no, that's me done with that, I'm not doing that again?
Fuck
no. Because I just realised then that there's real money in this. That this really is possible. And I knew I'd came up from nothing, coming up and going, you're earning a bit more respect from guys as well, because you're gaining the knowledge, and you're proving to all these estate agents that they were wrong, that was the wrong price. So that set the presence for that area. Which
is a huge difference though, when those estate agents were coming out and saying 200 270.
Well, there was no new builds in that area.
Yeah,
so look at it. So that site has set the presence for that whole area of Cooper now.
You set
they can all thank me later.
You set your own. You set the price basically.
And
so you use that funding to go on to the next one to buy the next site. Is that yours?
Yeah. So that site, the first site that we did, when that house was for sale, the courier picked that for House of the Month. So I thought, right.
Did you get your picture taken?
I was in all my gym gear coming back from the gym, and it was spur of the moment. The guy just phoned me and just said, "Look, coming along to take some pictures. Are you going to be in?" I was like, "Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be in the thing." And there's me, unshaven. I was in joggers. I'd been at the gym and everything. He was like, "I'll just take a picture, but we won't use it." More fool me. So I probably told him too much stuff, and he was putting stuff in the papers, and I was like, "Oh, showed me, you got me right, got me hook, line, and sinker there."
So the profit on that site, did it all come out on the last house sold, or was it, or you kind of?
It was already coming out. Yeah, it was already coming out,
and so that gave you, I suppose, the funding to get purchased the next site.
Because profit was coming out of it, I then started to learn about a self build. So the last plot that was on its own, I then decided I'm going to take that from my company, and I'm now going to do that as a self build.
Right, for your own house,
which was then tax free.
Yeah. You lived in that one, wasn't you?
For a few years. Yeah, I've always lived in them all. Just in case anything ever went wrong in the site, I could be there to make sure that they were all perfect.
That's quite smart, actually.
And then people are seeing that they're believing in your product.
Because you're loving it.
You're loving it yourself.
So how quickly are you on to the next site then? Or
I'd already started it, so halfway through that, I'd already bought a site in St Andrews.
Oh, wow.
So that was for 8 houses. And that was a good plan. that didn't go to exactly how it should have went when it should have, which is a shame. So we'd started on that whilst we were just coming to near the end of the one in Cooper, and these houses were going to be going over. They were valued by DM Hall at the time at 900,000. There was 8 of them, and we knew we were getting £1 million for these, and that was always my dream. You know, I always wanted to build £1 million. Always wanted to build £1 million houses.
Stuff then, aye.
It's a lot then, yeah. So remember, this was in 2003-4, so they're still not recovered yet from that. So there's nobody building houses. There was certainly nobody building high-end houses. So everybody used to say to me, well, "You're stupid. Why would you be building these houses?" I'm thinking to myself,
You're that site. I just saw one recently sold. I'm sure it sold at the price
Over.
just over that same price.
One day.
Recovered.
Same day or one day it sold over $1 million. So what happened was, and then when these guys are telling you, why are you buying high-end houses and when everything's collapsing? Well, I didn't think it was rocket science, was it? There's nobody else doing it. So I'm not getting any competition. So, and that was as simple as that. So I never really done anything different than anybody else could have done, because it all started from that house at the start. And everybody bought houses years ago. So the only difference is you've got to be willing to sleep in the street. Will you sleep in that street? Sorry, saying it, but will you do it? I had to do it.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean?
What year was that then?
After the crash, 2008, 9.
Yeah, that was before I bought the farm. That was at the start before I bought the house. Remember?
And again, you're doing this with your own money. Are you lending at this point? No, because there was no lending, was there really? No, there's nobody lending money.
Well, you could just bridging loans, and stuff.
You had bridging loans for the San Andrew site, though, didn't you?
Yeah, they were mega. Yeah, it was 56 grand a month.
Sticky water with that one.
Yeah, that was a really difficult one because, so on that site, so really we were looking at them selling £1 million each.
Yeah.
And I think we had a build cost then of 250, and had a land purchase of 450.
Right.
Which I bought all out. I bought everything all outright at the time, so I was quite lucky then. And but it was all the funds from obviously money all coming in from the other side.
Right, yeah.
So it was always, that's why I didn't buy the car and stuff. You know, I wasn't interested in it. I just wanted to keep recycling it all the time because I wanted to see the bigger picture. So the big site in St Andrews, what happened, it made it very difficult, was the Scottish referendum came at that time, and we'd sold 4 houses off plan. We'd built one house and 4 were built. One was built and 4 were sold off plan, and they were all going to be going. They were all over 900,000. So there's me sitting thinking, well, there's 4 million coming in. So that's the start of it, and we'd already built one. That hadn't sold yet. The other ones had sold off plan, which was strange. You think it would have been that one. Anyway, it didn't. So once the Scottish referendum came in and second home taxing came in at the exact same time, and a couple of people were buying them for holiday homes, which was the right area for it. But it was, these guys all spat the dummy. They're all from England. Right. So they came up and contacted me, some seen me, and they said, we're pulling the plug. I only took £1,000 deposit then.
Right.
I should have probably taken 10,000 or 20 or 30,000. So they just went, we'll walk away from £1,000. They're buying £1 million house, they can walk away from £1,000. So they all walked away. And at that time, my bank loan was up for renewal. So my bank said to me, right, Leigh, that's your bank loan up for renewal. And I'm like, oh, this is bad timing. They said, you still got all your sales? Nope.
0.
So there's 4 million just disappeared. And they said, just to let you know, we lent you 75% loan to value. We're not giving you that now. We don't do that, it's too risk. So we're lending, I think it was 60 or 55% now. And I was like, well, that means I need to now inject cash into it. I was like, I've not got it because I chucked all the cash in I could into the site. So I obviously was scrumping about. So
Leigh, were they giving you the 75% on the value of the one that you'd already built and the land value together?
Yeah, everything, yeah.
And then you're obviously hopefully getting that and using that to build the other ones.
Build out the rest of the site, yeah. Because I was just wanting to build them, keep building with them all, even if they hadn't sold, didn't matter. I wanted them all built in the one.
And meanwhile, your buyers have pulled out because of the referendum.
And
totally out of your control.
Yep, and the loans expired. So now there was nobody lending at 75% then because the risk was high. So then I've got a shortfall of exactly £550,000 at that time.
Jesus.
So they said to me, you need to buy 550,000. That's a lot. You've not got it. Definitely. So
had you given up the plumbing at this point? The gas, plumbing, gas.
I had it running, but somebody just working for me.
Right.
But I had nothing, very little. I was just booking the jobs in, but that was it. So it was always just kind of toy money coming in for that, but that was still getting used on the site as well. You could never have enough money. Not for that, not for building. It just, there's always costs. So and then I thought, I've no choice, so I shut the gates. I couldn't continue building. There's no funding coming in.
Did you finish the first house?
First house standing finished.
Right.
But it looks daft because it's sitting there on its own, mud everywhere.
Aye.
One road up to it and that's it, and the gate's all closed. So I started to sell everything. And I mean, fire selling, everything. I had old tractors that I'd waited years to get, motorbikes that I'd bought years ago that I kept, and every single thing had to go. I'll never forget the day my daughter said to me, she was like, Dad, and she used to love Hello Kitty. She had this Hello Kitty jacket on. She was like, why are you selling everything? I said, I'm going to take you on holiday one day. I said, I'm going to take you to Tenerife. I said, so I'm just making sure that we're going to be all right. We'll have a really good holiday. And she was like, well, could I keep my jacket and my bike? And I thought, she knows. She knows. 6 years old, she knows that I'm selling every single thing. Because she knew I loved all these stuff in the garage. But I had no choice, I had to sell it. Even tools, everything. So I was like, this is over. I was paying about 46 or 36,000 a month in interest payments.
And the bridging loan for it, and they're still wanting you to give the shortfall of the 550 as well.
Yeah.
Aye.
So I'm like, I'm in big trouble here. I remember driving up to the site at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the pitch black, drove up into the middle of the site, and I stood there in the middle of it, and I was like shouting at the house in the pitch black, telling it how much I hated it and I hated the place. Just drove away again. I was like, never again. I can't believe it's happened.
Was that the lowest point in your...
Oh, it's horrendous, because you're losing everything. You're losing your own house. I stayed in that house at the time as well.
So how does that all end, and how did it pan out?
The only thing I kept was a digger, one little mini digger. And I took it up to, everybody had banks in Isle of Man contacting me. Don't even know how they got my number to this day, saying, Leigh, we know how much debt you've got on the site, you're going down. That's when I roughly-ish kind of met you, because I was trying to meet that broker.
550.
Yeah. And I was like,
so the site and the house was repossessed?
No. So these banks are all contacting me, trying to buy the site off me, because its location's obviously great. Aye. And they're trying to get it off me for nothing. Peanuts. And they're saying, we'll let you keep face, we'll buy it off you what it's cost you at. I was like, we've put the 50 grand into the road, we've done this 300 grand sitting in the drainage, is this or that? That doesn't matter. You'll be all right, son. I don't think so. So I kept saying, you don't know what money I've got underneath my mattress. Driving along my transit van, no money at all. So I was left with this digger. So there's people sending me graphs saying this is when you're going to go down. Everything. It was disgraceful. I can't believe that people will jump. They're like vultures jumping on you like that. So I just didn't know what to do. I'd spoke to everybody. There was just nothing else left to do. So the only thing I kept was this digger. I used to run on chip fat oil, and I bought off this guy cheap. And my friend used to work for this plant hire company, big plant hire company. And I said to him, can you give me an orange flashing light? I was like, I can't buy it. I've not even got any money to buy it. But would you give me it and come and wire it for me? So he said, right, no bother. So he came up and wired it for me. So for about 2 weeks, I drove up every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and took that digger out to the main road, put that orange flashing light on, and moved it about every couple of hours and made it look like people were working there, and they weren't. So I just moved it and drove home, went home, probably went and lay in my bed, went to sleep, depressed and hating life, you know, it's horrendous. And then back up again, moved the digger again. And when that did happen, just as I opened up my gates, this woman had turned up, and she said, I'm here to come and buy one of the houses. And I'm thinking, right, okay. So I said, their offer's over 900,000, blah, blah, blah. She was like, I've only got 550,000. Remember, it was exactly 550,000 I needed.
She was told.
And so I was like, I don't know how much I'll go on about this. So then I was like, oh no, we need more than that. She said, listen, I'll give you that money right now, cash buyer. And I was like, I'm going to have to take this, because I'd rather take the hit on the one house. We've still got the 7 other houses. But I never thought about it devaluing the rest of the site. And I was just in survival mode anyway, so I didn't really care, to be honest. It didn't even matter. So I got the 550,000 from her. There's a bit of a story about that, and it is a really good story, but I'll maybe speak to you off this.
Okay, off there.
And see if we'll talk about it or not.
Okay.
It was a court case for 7 years.
Right, okay.
Basically proving that she was mentally unstable, and I had to prove that. The hassle was horrendous from her. So she came in and she said, right, I'll buy it straight to the lawyers the next day, no messing. I was like, this is brilliant. And then she turned around and said, I felt like she was really quite aggressive buyer. Do you know, some people that want something, that's fine. You know what you want.
She local?
St Andrews, because she bought the house. But I don't know where she was
No,
from.
but I mean,
before
originally
that.
when she turned up,
I don't know.
how did she turn up? Did
Scottish.
she just seen the house?
Just drove
passing
by and seen them, yeah.
Right.
So she had said that, what was I saying?
Sorry,
there?
you were saying about the buying process, the £550,000.
Yeah, so she said, so she went to the lawyers the next day. But what she said to the lawyers was, I will buy this, but only if he finishes the rest of half the site. So I still had another 4 houses left to build. So I was like, it's game over. It's impossible. But I thought, do you know what? She was that pushy. She was so pushy, her. It was a couple of days after it. And then I thought, she wanted me to price this kitchen. So I priced this kitchen for her. I was like, 45 grand for this kitchen. And I thought, and she said she was going somewhere else for it because she said it was too dear. So she was going somewhere else. And I thought, if you, and I knew she would get this kitchen. I knew she wanted it. And in a kitchen that's bespoke like that, you have to pay 50% up front normally. I thought, I bet you she's that pushy. She'd have paid, and she was in that much of a hurry. She would have paid that deposit. And that's all I had was a poker face. So I said, no, if you don't buy this house now, I'm going to kick you out of the sale. So she tried to sue me for not selling her the house. Could you believe that? Getting sued for not selling a house to somebody. So that had already started.
Right at the start.
Aye. But I thought, I've no choice. I've got to sell it. I've got to sell it. So I had to call her bluff and say, because I knew she'd paid money for this kitchen. So I had to call her bluff and said, I'm kicking you out of the sale. You're not getting the house unless you buy it right now. So she did buy it there and then. She did buy it, cash sale. I got the 550,000. I was able to go to a bank. I ended up going to another bank and put the shortfall in. And then they said, right, okay, we'll give you enough to finish the rest of the site now. So that's how I was able to save that from going down. So that orange flashing light was the only thing that saved that. Nothing else. Couldn't have been anything else.
Right.
That's
wow.
close.
That's mental. So you finished, so you went on to build the further
7 houses, yeah. So
7 houses?
This was 4
So
the initial phase, and it was the other.
Yes, well, 4 again. So
And did it end up successful in the end?
yes,
In
but
terms
not
of,
as good as it should have been.
you came out up. You didn't lose money.
Nowhere near as much because remember I sold at 550,000 instead of $1 million.
Right. Okay.
So the next house after that we sold again at 560 instead of $1 million. So there's you lost $1 million already.
What was the highest you got for the? What was the highest one that sold for?
Well, as I started to go round, I managed to get them up like an extra 20,000 here and there. I started to get up,
but
so
nowhere
still
near
nothing
the
like
million.
it. No.
If you think about these houses now, I mean, that's only 8 or 9 years ago, isn't it? Like there's one just won the market for a day at 925 and sold like that. Like over $1 million.
Because it's St Andrews, right? Because it's
cracking.
That's
finish on them as well was phenomenal.
You'll see that's on the website. There's a video that I'll walk through, and the Curated came out. So this site had now been picked for. We had House of the Month, House of the Year, Builder of the Year, and Site of the Year. So I knew something was going right at that side of it anyway.
Do you know what? This is the thing that annoys me, right? Because people Joe Blogg's public, right? They see people like you doing these developments in these houses, building these houses, and they just think that you're rolling in it, making an absolute fortune, don't they? But they don't see this
sacrifice.
You know what goes into it, and the stress, the pressure that you must have been under at that point where you were going up and driving that digger around, man. I can't imagine.
I mean, I'm assuming paying that full 550 to the bank. It didn't go in your pocket, and it unlocked you the ability to get the funding to go and continue and build the 4 out.
Yeah.
What was did you have to service the debt on the 4 that you were existing, or did they roll up the finance payments?
No, it was rolled up.
Aye, so at least you weren't like fucking struggling cash.
Yeah, no, it was rolled.
Is there any learning experiences from that? Like, if you look at that in hindsight now, is there anything? I mean, obviously the referendum thing was totally out of your control, but is there, apart from going into the women in the court case and leave that aside, is there any other things that you could have done differently at that time, which could have maybe worked in your favour a bit better?
The builder put the build cost up 50,000 each house. I should have been more protected myself on that.
Right, good lesson.
Because that was 50,000 a house I lost times 8 by the time I got to the end. I should have had that tied up, and I'd worked with him for years and years, so I had that trust with him.
It's more that gentleman's agreement and not a contract. Isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd been there for years. Maybe, did it cost him more money to build it than what he quoted? I'm not sure, because I made a lot of changes to that house to screw it down. After he told me how much it was, I screwed it all down.
You still on the tools at this point as well?
I'll come to that. So I had made these changes. So I think he probably realised Leigh's going to do all right here.
I better do all right. I better make money.
I'm going to put this up a bit. That probably did happen. I'll never really know, but I should have had that signed and sealed. Whereas I still like a handshake. But a lot of people are not like that now. So I'd always been brought up in farms, and a handshake was a handshake. So, but you can understand the guy's position. Maybe he wasn't making anything or not enough on it. So maybe he thought, I need to make more on this. So that's a lesson that I did learn. So that's it. From now on, no more handshakes. That's it. We're signing this up because it's all too tight now.
Yeah. So that 4, did the bank lend you the money to build the first 4 at first, and then did they have to see you getting the sales to then?
No, they just kept going because it seemed, I think they already knew, because it's only because of the area, the postcode, they knew it would sell. The Ryder Cup had came then,
right?
And I stupidly thought that I'll advertise in all the golf magazines for £18,000. Never even got one phone call. Unbelievable.
Can you remember
one phone call? I did actually get one phone call because somebody phoned me up to tell me that my distance from out of St Andrews was approximately wrong.
Right. Can you remember what your interest rates were at that point for your lending? No. No, just so we can kind of look at it now and compare.
Can't remember.
It would be cheaper than obviously.
Yeah. But still, huge figures on them. I was going back this time now. Do you know? Nobody was building £1 million houses then.
How do you, I'm trying to get this, I'm not the best with numbers, but how do you service that debt then? Does it, when you're doing that?
That was rolled up.
Does it roll up?
Yeah.
Aye. Right, okay. It's not as if you're having to find the money monthly to pay out. Aye. Okay, it rolls up.
So are you not capitalising your profit to the very end of that site then, because the bank dropped the interest until the very end site?
Yeah. So
you're years without a wage, really, aren't you?
Years and years. Even to this day, there's still nothing came in probably for 4 years now.
Yeah.
That is the bad side of this, obviously, because by the time you buy a site, you're a year by the time you buy it. By the time you've got all the planning and you go for it, by the time you've actually built them another year, by the time the money's in the bank, probably another 6 months to a year. So you're 3 or 4 years by the time money's actually came into your bank. So that's a sore process now.
It's not what make people think, is it?
We often hear quite a lot of times, obviously the government at the moment are talking about this planning reform and all the rest of it, and then we hear from developers and house builders that the planning's an absolute shambles. That's what holds people back. We're needing more houses. Did you, being first hand in the industry and doing that, was it a nightmare for you, or how did you find the whole planning process?
I remember the council had asked me to come up for a meeting in Fife House, and they wanted to speak to local developers, and at the time I was probably up there with the biggest independent builders at the time, and I came up and I thought, I'll tell them all right. It was the best thing I ever did. And they were all saying, can you come out and let the guys come out and see your stuff? I was like, you can bring them out and let them see it all, but you need to work with me. Do you know, you're not working with me, you're making me spend money on something that I've not even bought yet. You haven't to spend all this money to see if it's going to work. Just tell me. Make that life easier. Yeah. But they've made it's that difficult. It's just they've just created work for themselves, and it's not benefited any of us. That's why nobody's doing it. Or very little people are now doing it. They've killed it.
Less and less builders.
Yeah, it's so difficult. It's all difficult. Materials, wage increase, people's work ethic,
and that's negatively affecting the housing crisis now, because there isn't enough developers building out.
Yeah.
So the only ones, tough. So what you read is the only ones that are really kind of surviving us are your mega big guys like the Barretts and
but their profit margin's so low now. I mean, look at the big guys. Listen, if Stuart Millen went down with no hope, he's a smart guy,
absolutely,
and been going a long time.
Did you ever meet him?
I didn't. I thought I would have. I probably have bumped into him at some functions. Just at the time I wouldn't have known who he was. At some of the functions that I'd been invited to, some quite good functions I've been to. But I've met some interesting people for sure. But I mean, he even had a company that had his own nails, I believe. For the nail guns.
Right.
So that's switched on. He's not buying direct, he's getting them himself or he's buying them direct, whatever, but rather not through merchants and stuff like that. He probably even imported his wood, I don't know.
There's another one went bust just recently up in, I think, north east Elgin or something like that, or round about that Murray Coast. Quite a prominent name. I can't remember the name off the top of my head now, but they were decent size outfit. You know, they'd been around a long time.
I know, it's a shame.
They went down as well.
I think everyone was quite nervous when they seen Stuart Mullen go bust, because they thought, is that the start of the house builder starting to go bust?
Of course it is. It's not rocket science, is it? It's tough now. Do you know, it's that's what's making me now. I'm now diversifying from it now, because it's just not feasible. I look at sites all the time, and by the time I sit and work back, it's irrelevant what somebody wants for the land. You've got to work out your sales values, work all that, and then work it back and say, right, this is what the land's worth to me. And we've looked at, I don't know, 6-10 sites in the last 6 months, and they're all coming back at negative equity.
Yeah, like you're having to get the land for free.
Yeah, for free. Or they'll have to pay me.
Yeah,
maybe it's got a 100,000 negative equity.
That's no helping towards, the government keeps saying about this, housing emergency and all that. So what do you think needs to change then? Is it the planning system, more people getting trained up in the construction industry, just all that sort of stuff?
That's all of it. Yeah. It's all of it, and
take away the red tape.
I've really struggled recently with, normally I've been on the last site there that I've done. I've had to jump on that and come in and run that. I had to kick somebody out of contract that was in that, because he was absolutely horrendous. Yeah, and I've had to come in and save that.
Right.
And
so you're thinking enough's enough now, that's it?
That has been very difficult. So because I've been using main contractors, I've not been having the guys direct for me. So now obviously I'd been bringing them back in direct, and I'd say efficiency work rate out of these guys would be 30%.
Of what it was. Of what it was years ago.
Yeah. Who was it was a couple of years ago now in the podcast, we had a house builder based up in, was it
Dunde?
Dundee. What was his name again? So he said similar things to what you're saying about the just the young people coming in and just trying to get the work.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
It sounds like a kind of perfect shitstorm from landowners, planning, labour, materials. Just seems like the storm that nothing's really going right for the house building sector.
Yeah,
and you're talking about affordable housing. You're talking about £1 million houses. You're talking about high end houses, and you still can't make it work. And I thought that would have been the one that surely they make it work here.
The only area now will be Edinburgh or St Andrews. Yeah. In my mind, this is my own opinion, I'm saying that I will not
high end value.
Yeah, because it's the only way to make up for the wage increase. I mean, on one of my sites, another site, I was paying £18 an hour to the joiners, and then they went from that to £21 and £25 an hour. 16 men, 2 years, 340,000. Just in labour alone, never in the material increase, 100% increase, whatever it is, in materials from the last 4 years. We've killed it. Yeah. Absolutely. It has hurt it massively. So a lot of people will be pushing the pause button. Anybody that was bought through COVID time will pre-COVID. Even when you hear about,
because I read quite a lot in the press about social housing building and all the rest of it, even when you look at the figures on that, I always thought, because they're building at scale, surely economies of scale, you'd think they would just throw these houses up dirt cheap. But on average, they're talking about, for a 3-bedroom terraced house and all that, they're talking about £200,000 just for the build costs and all that. So, that's for social housing. And you would think, because they've got all the government, backing and all this, that they're probably getting cheaper lending and stuff like that. You think,
yeah, lending will probably be cheaper for it. I have thought about looking at it, but you know what? Things are that tight now in this game that if the guys are not willing to work, you can't do it. Because I can't do it all on my own. Yeah. And I always say to people, I was like, every site I've done, I've had either best house or best site or something, every single site I've done. And I can't get that without the best team.
Do you have kids yourself?
Yes.
How many?
2.
Are they involved in the business at all? Do they get involved in the property?
The eldest, they can all drive machines and drive diggers and do all the stuff they need to be able to do. And drive lawnmowers and tractors. But
what age is that?
Maya, she's 21, so she's trained to be a nurse, so she's not really. No. She's not interested now. She's got her own life now.
How do you spell Maya?
MYA, it's different than yours, yeah. Different than yours.
Nah.
So, and at least she's 16, just turned 16. She's got potential. I don't really want her to be doing this.
Yeah.
But because she's always been around it, she's shouted at men. She can drive all the trailers. She unhitches things. That's what she does it. She sits on that roadblocks.
Aye.
Doing the computer building stuff, and I give her drawings and say, "Right, come build me that house. Let me see what it's going to look like." And she could sit and do it all. And
so, where do you think the pivot is from you now? That if it's no longer going to be development and house building, what you thinking?
I'm not going to stay in it doing this.
No,
because it's just absolutely pointless. The risk factor's high, and nobody wants to do it. So I don't want to do it now. So now I would go down. I'm thinking about going down more of a consultant route. Yeah. Because I've obviously done it a long time now. So I can try and help people. I thought that I don't want to really do this, but I thought that I'd go into just getting some property and some flipping them. But I don't. That was all at the start. I don't really want to do it. I think it's a great way to start, an absolutely great way, and there still is money to be made in it if you do a lot of stuff on your own. But I don't really want to be getting involved in that side of it. So now I suppose I've gained a lot more contacts now in a higher level now. So I get quite a lot of businesses and companies are coming to me and saying, "Look, this guy's retiring. He wants to sell this. He wants to sell that." So I think now I'm going to start looking into buying other companies. So I have got some stuff now that I'm looking at. So if there's any investors listening out there, tell them to get me. They'll get me on LinkedIn.
Can you give us an idea? I'm not saying name names or anything like that of the businesses, but what sectors, what kind of type of businesses would you be looking at?
Anything. Absolutely anything.
What do you see the potential in?
I'll give you an example of one of them. A farmer has, just a coincidence, a farmer, which has been handy over my life, obviously.
Having that network.
A farmer's just had wind turbine stuff all signed, sealed, delivered for all the electric side of it. So that doesn't kick off for 2 years. He's put £1 million into the project. It's a £12 million deal. So he's looking for an investor to come in, put £1 million in, roughly, give or take. This is fag packet figures here. Put £1 million in, get some of his money back because he's obviously chucked probably everything in the tank and the kitchen sink in to get it, which was worth it. But he's going to have to wait on the money. So he'll do a deal where there'll be £1 million in, and then this could be split. You're doing nothing for it.
Wow. So
that's an easy one and a good one, but people are in, obviously it depends on what the situation is, but I'm just giving you one example. Another one is an engineering company. Same again, land, buying a building, buying the company. It's been running for 38 years. There's anything that's making money.
And how would you, where's your role? Are you like the broker, or are you kind of...
No, I want to run them all. I'll run them all.
Take it on.
They'll just be a new site.
You'll be seeking the investment to actually just
to buy them. I'll go in and buy it, and I'll run them.
The investor will be getting that return.
They'll get a return on it, yeah.
No, that's good.
So there's that side of it, plus also Dubai now. So
what's your connection with Dubai?
So, do you know what I like about Dubai? Dubai is mostly commission based out there. So you don't work out there, you're going to starve.
Yeah.
That's why it's working. It's as simple as that.
People are hungry.
Yeah. So, and that's what I like. So people that have got drive, and we've spoke about it a couple of times, people that want to do something, you're going to make it work out there. It's going to work. So
but if you want to be lazy and sit on your ass out there, you're going to be coming back home
stay in this country. Stay in this country and get whatever you want.
Have you spent a bit of time out there then?
I've got bits. Let me just tell you a little bit about it and why I think it's. I'm just going to read this off the cuff. So, see if you buy in Dubai and you're buying it off plan. It takes an average of 4 years. This is all approximately just what I'm telling you. So you're 4 years in this getting built. But see, when you buy it, the yield on it is 35 to 45% once it's built. So it's like people used to buy Ferraris and then they would sell them and make a profit margin on them. It's the same kind of thing people are doing with new builds.
Buying them off plan and
buying them off plan and selling them, make 35, 45% and selling them. So that's obviously a great thing. And then if you're going to rent it, your yield is about between 8 and 12% ish rental, whereas here you're 9, 10. So still a good return. So an average apartment, 175,000. And then you're pulling in profit from it after your 4 years, and it's just an absolute no-brainer.
Do you need cash? Is that got to be what cash?
Yes.
Are you thinking for your own investment?
Yes and no. Yes, definitely. So they put it in an escrow out there so it's safe. So in case anything happens, obviously with the developer as well. So you just pay. You like so for 175,000, you pay. They'll split that up over the payments, and you'll just pay that, and then you donate it outright at the end. But you can still get mortgages on these as well. They just do it slightly different than what you're doing here. But that to me is an absolute no-brainer. Why would you put your money in this country and buying and flipping property now when you're not going to make it? That you're making straight away.
And then what are you talking about? Holding these as long-term investments and you rent them out? Or?
This is the next bit. If you rent them, so that same apartment, £175,000 apartment, will rent for 20,000 a year. Now these people pay normally upfront or 6 months. So you either get a year's rent in the one. At least that's giving you 20 grand.
Cash
to
upfront.
put that into another one.
Yeah.
Go and buy another one. Right? But you can Airbnb it, and they're saying you're going to get about 80,000 for that.
Oh.
So 20,000 long-term rental, Airbnb 80,000. Minus an agency fee, 5%, whatever it is.
They're grown, eh? The Dubai's grown.
It's always going to work. This is the way to go, without a shadow of a doubt.
Why is it? Is it just so many people moving in there now? And just so much? Is it just booming? Is that
just booming?
You've got
I saw a stat the other
you've
day
got-
saying it was like 200,000 people a year with them.
You've got but it's all kind of quite high. It's people with money as well, right? You've got like a lot of India, I think, is like number 2 or 3 economy in the world now. So a lot of Indian wealth moved in. There's Russians, I think. No, is it Russians? Aye. So that's just pushing the prices up.
This is piquing your interest now, mate.
Yeah, it's something new, isn't it?
But when you talk about that, right, I just immediately comes to mind. I don't know if you ever went to back. You'll remember this. Back in like 2007 or something like that, 2006, 2000, leading up to the global financial crash. Do you remember all these expos that used to go about selling off-plan property abroad and all that?
Yeah.
Do you know, I went to one, and I was into snowboarding at the time. In Bulgaria, there was a development, and it was all like, you're presented with the CAD drawings and all the artist's impressions, and it looked fucking amazing. And I put a deposit down on this flat 2-bedroom apartment in Bansko in Bulgaria or something like that. And then I got all the papers through, and it was just all in Bulgarian. I was like, I spoke to my solicitor, and I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. So I just pulled out. I just lost the deposit, and then, but it's just as well. I never went forward with it, because then, like 6 months later, the whole thing just collapsed.
Yeah.
But
I knew an investor when I was first coming up that done the same. He bought in Bulgaria and Dubai years ago, and I think both the developments went bust.
Aye, but again, that was kind of because of the global financial crash and all the rest of it. But you really see an opportunity here,
Massive,
right?
And it's just growing all the time.
Aye,
and people are struggling in the UK. Most people I speak to now, they're all saying, I hate this place.
Yeah.
I hate this place.
Would you get out? Would you go out there?
If my kids were just that little bit older,
You got
I
a
would
couple
be
of years
away.
yet.
1,000,000%, I'd be away.
Yeah.
And I will be away. In fact, one way or the other, I'll be away.
do you go out
Staying
there
there.
for holidays and that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, though, I would go
Right.
and move.
We need to get out there, mate. See what's
the
up. Well,
UK's
you've been there, but I'm down to
I
get
enjoyed
out to have a
Dubai.
look.
Yeah, I've been out quite a good few times.
To get a look at it. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's it.
Nice, mate.
So you're basically what you're saying is you're looking to speak to people who are potentially interested in investing in property in Dubai as well, and you've got some contacts over there as well.
Yep, I'll take them. Yep, go over, meet the developers, speak to them,
Aye,
show
mate.
them all this stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not an estate agent.
Yeah.
So it's a different level. They've got me in the background.
Well, I think people can see from this is the beauty about the podcast. You've gone into a lot of personal shit there and been very honest and transparent about the hard times as well. So we appreciate you coming in and sharing that. And people make their own judgments as well. So
You can't believe the fancy car. It all appeals for nothing. Sometimes it's not worth having.
Absolutely, mate.
Sometimes it is. Just depends. It's all about the graft, isn't it?
I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on. Where can
Brilliant.
people reach out to you if they want to get in touch with you and chat to you?
You could get me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I've now got that. I'm not, I believe it or not, I'm not a massive social media person, but I've now got LinkedIn, so you can get that. Leigh Connelly, LEIGHCONNOLLY.
we've not even touched on the gymnastics. A British competing in the British Championships. Gymnast.
And didn't start until he was 29.
There's got to be some photos or videos on the internet of that.
No on LinkedIn.
No, there's not. There's definitely not. Yeah, they're on my phone. So it was. I used to train through here. Have you got time?
No,
Got
probably to wrap up. Just put it. What was your speciality in the gymnastics field?
The rings, high bar, and the P bars. They're my main thing. Nice. So it was classed as a veteran gymnastics because you're past the age of obviously all the guys at 21 in the Olympics.
29 years over the helmet.
Yeah, that's it. So that was it. So it was pretty much a full-time job that I'd subcontracted all my work out to go and do that because.
And Jack did developments for a period of time and went full time.
Yeah, well, that's when I gave it to the main contractors. So it was probably the best thing I'd ever done, but I'm not as fit now. That's for sure.
Fantastic. You're looking well. Fantastic story. Thanks very much, Leigh.
Good.
And people can check out your website as well if they want to look at pictures.
Have a look. Yeah, Caraton Group. Yeah. Have a look at the website. You can get all the information on that. Right. And people want to. If there's anybody looking to invest, we've got loads of different ideas, loads of different options. To buy, again, that's all new stuff. Come to me for that. I can have a blather to you. Yeah, let's do it. Look forward to it. Brilliant. Good man.
Thanks very much. Cheers.